What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. I want to thank you guys for joining me for another replay battle. Today I've got a very large-scale battle. In fact, I think it is our first 4v4 since the patch came out. This is going to be pitting the forces of Amroth and the Elves against the Dwarves and some other interesting factions as well. So there's very much a smorgasbord of different factions that we're going to see going head-to-head against one another today. But in any case, without any further ado, let's get into the army comps, and then we can jump into the replay itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. So the first army we're going to look at today is the forces of Amroth, being commanded by yours truly. I've gone very melee cav heavily in the heavily. Wow, that was amazing. I've gone very melee cav heavy in this build. I've got one unit of Swan Knights, 2 units here of the Mercenary Cavalry, who I believe are upgraded with attack and defense upgrades. And of course, I've got a unit of Haven Knights as well. And let's get a little bit closer in there so you can take a look at their new look. Damn, do they look beautiful, and of course the Haven Guard share the same model. But moving on to my main line, I believe I've got 3 or 4 units of the Dornernal Pikemen that are going to be backed up with as many Athelond Men-at-Arms. I've also got 3 units of Dornernal Archers, a couple units of Black Swan Vanguard, one here, one in the other wing, and 2 units of Belfalos Marines. And I think that's just about it for my army. So let's go ahead and let's move on to my ally over here. The closest ally to me is the forces of Mirkwood, being commanded by Egg with Autism. I think his name is like Egg Slop on top or something like that. I actually prefer that to the current name. In any case, he's brought some Thandrim e Erin, which is a lower tier spear unit. I think he's got a ton of these guys, as well as some Megali Erin, which is the sword armed version. He's also got some Hiri Lang in the back here, I believe to the tune of about 2 or 3 units. One unit of Aradirith Amon Lank, which is I think they were like the Elder Palace Guard or something like that. 2 units out front of Hiri Peng. And he's got some more spears over there on the flank. He's also got some Roekbin on Amon Lank. Wow, that's a hard one to say. Which are a Lancer Spear Cav unit. And finally, he's got another unit of the Roekbin on Amon Lank over here as well. I think he's got a 3rd company of the Indeed Iar Abranan Inanweth. And that's just about it for his army. So very skirmish heavy, a lot of light infantry, and some really nice heavy supporting units as well, which is exactly what you can expect from a lot of Mirkwood units, or a lot of Mirkwood armies. Moving on over here, we have the Realm of Lorien, being commanded by Potato Dude 02. He's got some Galadrim Nobles, unit of Karis Galadon Guardians, some Lothlorien Blades, I believe 2 or 3 possibly units of Lothlorien Blades. And he's got some Maether Ilas Galen here as well, which is a Javelin unit of Galadrim Riders, some heavy Lothlorien Archers, a lot of heavy Spears. I think he's got some Axemen in there as well, possibly some Axemen. Nope, he's mostly just got Spears and the Lothlorien Blades. And I think he's got some other hidden units in here as well, but I don't think he has any other cavalry and things like that. So let's move on now to the 4th and final blue team army. We have the forces of Rhudaur, being commanded by Emperor Aku Red Fang. He's got a ton of the Rhudaur swordsmen, I believe the full complement of 6. Some Rhudaur clansmen, some spearmen over there on that end, some Hereditine Berserkers over on his left. In the center, he got some Faradrim Javelins, some more Hereditine Berserkers over on the right, and a couple units here of the Edmore's Troll Hunter Javelins. And last but certainly not least, he's got a unit of Coldfell Maidens, who are very, very versatile. Actually, probably one of my favorite cavalry units in the game, just because they can fulfill so many roles. They are Jav-Cav, of course, but after their Javelins have been expended, they pull out some Spears, making them an excellent anti-cavalry tool. Very, very strong against heavy cavalry, slower-moving heavy cavalry in particular. But I think that's just about does it. No, he might have some Rangers. I believe he has a couple units of Hereditine Rangers in here as well. So obviously a very rush-oriented army, and he's going to be barreling straight towards his opponent across the field. But in any case, let's see exactly who that is and see what Team Red has brought to the battle today. Across the field from Rhudaur, we have the forces of Revan of Korriban, who is commanding Cardolan. He's got some Dunedain commanders here, which I think is where his general is. Perhaps not. He's also got a unit of Mercenary Cavalry, a great pick. If you can get Mercenary Cavalry and you know you're going to be facing other Lancer Cav, there's really no reason not to bring the Merc Cav. They are just so useful. Out in front, he's got some Minas Carithlin Sharpshooters, the 2, I believe, units of them. Backing them up, he's got some Greenwatch Garrison Footmen with some Dunedain Captains to help them hold steady. Over here, we've got some more Minas Carithlin, some Greenwatch Garrison Footmen, rather, backed up with some Minas swordsmen all the way down the line. Another unit of mercenary cav right there, some more sharpshooters, and some more Greenwatch garrison footmen, and a unit of mercenary war chiefs. And finally, last but certainly not least, we've got the Royal Court of House Rhudaur, which is where his general's going to be hanging out. Actually, perhaps not last at all. He's actually got a couple units, more units of cav here, one unit of Dune 9 scouts. Actually, no, that's the next guy. Ooh, my bad. They all kind of look the same to me. They're all Dune 9 units. In any case, Court of House Rhudaur is his final unit. Moving on now to his ally, we have the forces of Arthedain, being commanded by Akravan. He's got, I believe, 2 units of Dune 9 Rangers out front. Very useful, but maybe not as much against well-shielded, well-armored units like Lorien. He's going to be backing them up with some Evendim spearmen. Very cost-effective, numerous, and quite cheap units of spears. They don't have a lot of killing power, however, they need to be supported, and generally they just make a good support unit all on their own. Also got some Fornoster Rain Defenders here, which were previously the Arthedain Peacekeepers or something like that. Another spear unit. In the center we've got some Numinas Gate Guards, and some more spear units as well. So very spear-heavy army here for Arthedain, which is a bit surprising. In the back we got some dismounted Fornoster Rain Knights, second company of them over on the right end. Some Fornoster Rain Knights, backing up some Dune 9 scouts, a unit of Knights of Numinas, the Royal Court of House Amlath, a unit of Fornoster Rain Knights, and the Dune 9 scouts. That definitely explains the spears and the kind of less deadly infantry units. He's really gone heavy on his cavalry in this particular army comp. Moving on now to the third red team army, we've got the forces of Khazad-dum, being commanded by Firenzia 2011. He's got some mercenary crossbowmen, which is a great thing to have. I think he's also got a unit of mercenary cav around here as well. He's got some 4th Legion Shield Guard, and 3 units, I believe. Yes, 3 units of the Orc Hunters of Khazad-dum. Yet more. Actually, no, these are 1st Legion Pikes. A unit of 1st Legion Pikes here with some 1st Legion Bodyguard. Mercenary War Chiefs on his 3rd line, along with some 3rd Legion Axe Infantry. Over here, got another unit of 3rd Legion and some more 4th Legion. Guards of Khazad-dum, Sons of the Fallen, and the Mithril Guard. And finally, we've got the Dwarven Catapult, which, as I'm sure many of you know, is a real interesting tool indeed, and you guys will see a lot of it in this battle. Moving on over to his ally, we have the forces of Erebor, being commanded by Donovan. He's got here some Ironfoot Hammer Guard, who are very, very scary. They are technically a knight unit, but they have a little bit less anti-cavalry bonus, and that's because they are AP in melee. They are one of 2 knights that are AP, so they've got really high damage as well. So it really needed to drop their anti-cavalry bonus in order to kind of even them out a little bit. Over here we got some Ironfoot Warriors backing up some Axe Guard of Erebor, who are as sexy as they have ever been and are really, really good. Not quite as good as the 2nd Legion Axe Guard, but they are still very strong with a little bit higher than average charge bonus. Ironfoot Warriors, another unit of Ironfoot Warriors, some Dwarven Miners, Highborn of Erebor, which is previously the Dwarven Nobleman unit, so it's got 2 HP, and that's where their general's going to be hanging out. Over here we got a single unit of Ironfoot War Goats with their new Goat Mount. I personally prefer this one. It's a lot more faithful to the movies, which is kind of what these units are supposed to be about. More Ironfoot Warriors, Erebor Legionaries, Ironfoot Warriors, Axe Guard of Erebor, and a ton of these Ironfoot Axe Throwers, which are definitely making me quake in my boots a little bit. Very, very strong against a faction like Dol Amroth. And then finally in the center we've got a couple units of Ironfoot Spears. And I think that's it for the army comp, so let's go ahead and jump into the replay. I hope you guys enjoy. The battle begins with a huge charge here from Rhudaur, who wants to get into mid-range as quickly as possible and really leverage a lot of their skirmishing forces, although unfortunately some of those skirmishing forces seem to be lagging a little bit behind here. The Edmure Troll Hunters definitely eating the dust of the Rhudaur swordsmen, though they do have their Khazad-dum javelins and their Arthedain Berserkers as well to support their main line. Cardolan is desperately opening fire, trying to thin out the tide before it reaches their front line, but this is ultimately, I think, going to be a really tough fight for Cardolan. Honestly, Rhudaur armies like this are extremely powerful when used well. They have the numbers to bog you down for a very long time in close quarters, although it looks like Cardolan definitely has managed to find the chink in their armor. Going to get a beautiful charge off there on the Rhudaur swordsman, killing well over half the unit there in a single charge. Now these Arthedain Berserkers definitely have an opportunity to make these guys pay for it, but unfortunately they are not taking advantage of it. But Arthedain going to be coming in from the flanks now with their mounted Dune 9 scouts, and of course they've still got their Lancers as well in here. Now, without any cavalry support to stop their line from being run over, this is definitely not going to be an ideal fight for for Rhudaur, though they do manage to get in there with most of their infantry intact. And of course, they've still got their Khazad-dum javelins, but I think they definitely needed to kind of even out their line a little bit in order to be significantly more effective, I think, on the infantry line than they are right now. Well, let's pop back over to this side of the battle. Let's see what's going on here between Arthedain and Lorien. A big fight here, a lot of aggression from the elves, which is what I like to see. A lot of the times the elves will sit back and leverage their skirmishing forces for as long as they are able, but this time around, Lorien, under Potato Dude, just really going for it. And a lot of their units, like the blades and things like that, they're going to hack their way through the Fornost-Terrain defenders. A lot of spear units here, not really able to stand up to the elven infantry. Of course, there is still the Fornost-Terrain knights who are coming in to try and even out the fight a little bit. They're going to take a big javelin volley, and ultimately they are going to be able to manage to connect with the Maethor Elas Gallon, but they've got spears. Oh, that was really, really devastating for the Arthedain Lancers. I saw what they were going for. It was a good plan. Hold everybody down in the center and then try and just overwhelm the elves with hard-hitting Lancer strikes that put them in a battle of attrition that they can't possibly win due to their low numbers. But the Elven player definitely was ready for it, had his javelins positioned in the perfect place at the right time, and those Fornost-Terrain Knights are going to be driven off the field. Over here, Fornost-Terrain Knights very much out in the open, an easy target for a lot of the Lorien infantry. Let's check and see how the Lorien blades and spears are doing. The spears don't seem to be doing quite so well against the Fornost-Terrain infantry, but I think there are definitely some blades in there. I know I saw them. They're going to be able to even out that fight pretty handily. The pikes taking on the elite pikes. This is a very well-chosen fight. The Karis Galathon Guardians will shred the Illuminas Gatekeepers. With their extra HP, they're easily the best pike unit in the game. Over here, the Evendem Spearmen going toe-to-toe with, I'm pretty sure I saw some axes flashing in there. Indeed, there are some Lothlorien axemen. And they're going to get shredded, I believe, by the elves in close quarters. Nice javelin volley there. Maybe that wasn't a javelin volley. Maybe that's just an arrow volley from the Galadrim Riders into the Fornost-Terrain defenders, trying to stop this Arthedain flanking movement from being able to get in and overwhelm the Elven center. Let's take a look at how things are going over on our side. Now, we're being a lot more cautious. I've got Mirkwood as an ally, so he's going to be skirmishing, of course, with the Orc Hunters of Khazad-dum, and he's done an excellent job at denuding the dwarves so far of their Khazad-dum Orc Hunters. Khazad-dum is going to respond in kind with some volleys into my advancing army. Ooh, some nice shots there. Killing a fair amount of my infantry, blowing a big hole, rather, in my pike phalanx. But it doesn't do quite enough damage, I think, to really make me give up my position entirely. Now, I've got a lot of archers as well, and I noticed that my opponent doesn't really have any long-range skirmish. I don't even think he has any crossbows. So I'm going to move forward with my Dornernal archers. I'm going to be taking my time on this particular battle because I don't want to get anywhere near those axe throwers. I know once I move into mid to close range, I'm going to have a really hard time with a lot of this dwarven infantry. So I need to be as cautious as possible when playing as Dol Amroth. Now, there's a little bit of action over here, which I don't think we got a chance to see. His unit of Ironfoot Wargoats got themselves sandwiched in between a unit of Mercenary Cavalry and my Swan Knights. I was hiding them back there in the woods, and he was moving a little bit farther forward than he should have. And I managed to cut them off and destroy them. Oh, brutal volleys there from his catapults into my Dornernal Men-at-Arms, my Athela Men-at-Arms, my Dornernal Parkmen, my Dornernal Archers also getting caught up in there as well. Well, let's pop back over to the other side of the battle. Things are getting ugly. The Greenwatch garrisons seem to be holding for now, and I would expect them to win in the frontal assault like this against the Rhudaur swordsmen, who are really going to struggle to get close. But it really comes down to the mid-range skirmish power, and a lot of those Khazad-dum javelins got themselves hacked to pieces by the crossbows of the Minas Tirith units. Oh, but you know, it looks like we have some Blackwolds over here as well, fighting against the Dunedain captains, but the Dunedain captains are much more skillful than these Blackwold units. Despite the fact that they have 2 HP, the Dunedain captains will do very well against them. Over here, it looks like the Mercenary Cavalry managed to mop up all the remainder of the Coldfell Maidens, which leaves Rhudaur without a cavalry option. Of course, they've got some Mercenary Cavalry in their back right now, but there is some protection actually being afforded by Arthedain's own stakes that they dropped. Khazad-dum javelins still around, trying to do their best, but they're just getting absolutely brutalized by the Cardolan skirmishing forces. Royal Court of House Rhudaur, I think, are the target of some of the javelins right now, but honestly, the javelins need to be used, I think, to carve their way through the front line. So we got a little bit of routing here, some of the Minas Carithlin units fleeing off the fields. But Rhudaur is now very exposed. And more Troll Hunters over on this end, I think, were the cause of that routing. They're now pitching their javelins into the Greenwatch garrison, but... oh, wow, look at this. Mercenary War Chief's going to do real well against the Rhudaur clansmen, who look fantastic, by the way, with their armor upgrades. But the Royal Court of House Amlaith, if they're going to be in there, I don't know if that's a good idea. The Rhudaur clansmen have a lot of damage behind them, and of course they've got the spear bonuses inherent to all spear units. So if the Royal Court of House Amlaith stay in there for too long, they will get themselves cut to pieces. A few Arthedain Berserkers left over here, but it's still seeming reasonably even. Still got a lot of Trollshot Axe Throwers over here to the tune of about 2 units. Now routing that unit of Mercenary Cavalry, and of course we've got Arthedain Berserkers. And I think there's the Rangers around here as well. So Rhudaur still has a chance to break through, but Cardolan has the cavalry, and of course they have the support of Arthedain, who is nearby as well. Speaking of Arthedain, let's see how the Elves of Lorien are doing against them. Surprisingly, not as well as I thought they would, except in the center here, where they have absolutely massacred those Anuminas Gate Guards, and the Karis Galathon Gardens are still pushing hard into the Fornoster Rain. So Arthedain's center is in a lot of trouble. They seem to be winning heavily on the flanks, however. Ooh, big charge here from the Knights of Anuminas, the big equalizer. Let's see what these guys got up their sleeve. A beautiful charge there into the Lothlorien blades. Not doing as much damage as I would have thought, however. I would have expected them to sweep that unit away. The Maethri, that last Gallon, they're still around. They're reloading. If they come back for a second cycle charge, are they going to get it? Almost. I think that maybe they hit 1 or 2 of them. We got here Dunedain Scouts. I think they're going to be used to pepper down the Maethri last Gallon before those Knights come back. That would definitely be the smart move. Ooh, a nice Javelin volley there. Going to claim the lives of many of those Dunedain. Knights of Anuminas coming back for another volley. Maethri last Gallon are prepared this time, however. Nice charge there by the Knights of Anuminas, bowling over those spearmen. The Elves of Lothlorien are now in a lot of trouble. Over here, Maethri last Gallon fighting hard against Fornoster Rain defenders. They are going to be able to win that fight. But now with the Knights of Anuminas in their back, and very little protection for the rear of the Elven formation, I don't know. I think that Arthedain is going to be able to take this fight. Well, let's pop back on over to here and let's see how things are going. You can see this is just an extended skirmish fight. I'm using my artillery piece. I actually had a ballista hidden in the forest as well, which I forgot about. Using my ballista to try and take down the Dwarven catapults. But at the moment, I seem to just be hitting the Mercenary War Chiefs. So we're slowly but surely grinding down the Dwarven front line, trying to leverage our skirmish power for as long as possible. Definitely going to be targeting the Ironfoot Axe Throwers for sure, since they are so deadly. Although my Dwarven Nernal Archer is not going to be able to, I think, to do a ton to those Ironfoot Axe Throwers. But still, it's worth a shot. What do we got over here? It looks like some of the Khazad Pikes have moved forward here. The 1st Legion Pikes, and they're really giving these Elven units here what for. A unit like the 1st Legion Pikes, normally surrounding Pikes is enough in order to be able to destroy them completely. However, 1st Legion Pikes are a different story. They are very, very good. Second best Pike unit in the game for sure. You're definitely going to need some Javelins or some Skirmish Fire in order to take them down. Over here we got the Ironfoot Hammer Guard going for a nice charge against the Thandrim Yeren. That's going to be all she wrote for those Spearmen. Big, brutal charge there. I wonder what I'm doing. I've definitely screwed up by not allowing, or not sending my Haven Knights and things like that to the support of my ally. Yeah, my Haven Knights are a world away right now. Definitely not where they need to be, so big mistake there on my part. But slowly but surely, we're managing to deal with the Dwarven Skirmish Forces and grind down their front line as best as we can. Rexman on Amon Lank, really not having a great time against the Ironfoot Hammer Guard. The Branani Nanwaith, however, might have a bit more success. And you can see a few of those Hammer Guard getting skewered there. The Spear Arm Cavalry, this is exactly the kind of fight that they are designed to try, if not win, then even out a little bit, shall we say. Elves of Lorien not having a great time, though they have managed to deal with a lot of the Arthedain infantry, and some of it is actually in danger of routing. Yeah, the Knights of Numinos have gone quite far, but they're going to go no further, especially not against these Cardolan Guardians, who are well positioned here by Potato Dude to defend his rear. Let's see what we got in the back. Looks like maybe some Arthedain cavalry trying to deal with the Lorien skirmishers, doing a good job at it. Although I think a lot of that damage was done by the Arthedain skirmishers. Knights of Numinos really not able to find an easy target here. They might be able to go for the back here where the Dunedain scouts are, where the Lothlorien spears are hammering the Forest Rain defenders. Let's pop back over to Cardolan side of things, and things have just been... It's been a nightmare. Cardolan seems to be falling apart in the face of this inexorable Rhudaur advance, but Rhudaur has suffered very grievously in the attempt as well. You can see there's not really a ton of Rhudaur units still left over. Royal Court of House Thorondor giving their all to try and deal with these Rhudaur Trollshaw axe throwers. Let's see what's happening here. Are they going to be able to get off a volley or something? No, it doesn't look like it. Arthedain Berserkers charging into the flank of those Green Watch garrison, trying to cut them down. Got those Arthedain Rangers trying to pick off the last of the Minas Tirith sharpshooters. Still quite a lot of them in a very good position to deal with these Rhudaur flanking units. But I would say that Rhudaur is probably going to win this fight, but damn has it been costly. What we got here? Some of the Rhudaur clansmen backed up with a few units of swordsmen fighting against some numerically superior Minas Tirith sharpshooters. Looks like Cardolan might win that fight. I don't know. Maybe Cardolan will win. Maybe they'll pull off an amazing victory. What we got here? Cardolan Guardians going toe-to-toe with the remaining Arthedain infantry. Meanwhile, the Knights of Numinos going to get a big charge into the river of Lorien spears. Oh, that's going to be devastating. And those spears are essentially going to be annihilated by that charge from the Knights. Doesn't look like the Knights took any casualties in return. Awful nice for them. Let's pop back over to my side of things, where it seems like the infantry fight has begun in earnest. My ally has moved in against the dwarves of Khazad-dum, and meanwhile I'm still kind of peppering down the dwarven line here. You can see that we've done a fair amount of damage to the Ironfoot warriors and things like that. But what I really need to be doing is moving into the defense of my ally. But I'm thinking that he's got a good chance of beating them, since he does have the units here to be able to surround them. Although, of course, there are still the 1st Legion pikes who have managed to bully his poor units out of either out of position or destroy them entirely. So now I'm going to come in with some of my mercenary cavalry and use them to tie down these mercenary hammer guard, the Ironfoot hammer guard, before they can get into a unit like my Belfast Marines, for example, which I'm now moving forward to deal with those 1st Legion pikes and prevent my ally from getting flanked. Moving in now with my Haven Knights as well to surround those hammer guard. That's going to be a really tough fight for those hammer guard. They're getting hacked down left and right. And now against my my Haven Knights, who are definitely an equal for the hammer guard, if not more. Looks like the dwarves are going to move in with their 1st Legion pikes, prevent me from completely destroying their hammer guard. My Haven Knight's going to take a wrong turn at Albuquerque, end up inside that 1st Legion pike block. However, they are going to be able to escape without a scratch. And now I've got my Belfast Marines in position to begin to pepper these guys down. Another javelin volley there. Going to be enough to essentially cripple that unit of 1st Legion pikes, now down to a meager 26. Another volley there. Let's see if we manage to deal with them. Yeah, a few more of them falling. Now I got my Belfast Marines. Oh wow, they're very determined to deal with these guys. Another volley there, going to claim the lives of I think about half the remaining soldiers. Not worth my time, however. I probably shouldn't be shooting at them. Hiri Lang charging into the Orc Hunters. Hopefully those fire arrows don't rout them, but the Hiri Lang on their own should be able to deal with these guys, but I think these Hiri Lang are going to start to rout thanks to the morale damage from those fire arrows. That's real unfortunate there for my ally, Mirkwood. In the center, the Elven Light Infantry not having the greatest time against the Dwarven Heavy Infantry. Coming forward now with my Belfast Marines, trying to get them into a good position where I can support my ally, but there's still enough of those Khazad Orc Hunters, and they fire quickly enough that actually they're doing a lot of damage to my Belfast Marines. I was kind of surprised by that. So I'm now moving in with the entirety of my infantry force after much ado and playing around. And I'm going to begin to engage the dwarves of Khazad-dum. But let's pump back over to this side and see who managed to win this Lothlorien Isengard fight. And it looks like Lothlorien Isengard, Lothlorien Arthedain. It looks like Arthedain has managed to pull out the win here. One final charge into the Guardians of Khazad-dum, who are not numerous enough to stand up to that charge from the Knights of Illuminas. And there goes Thranduil at the same time. 2 Elven generals falling in just a matter of moments. I think I'm the only one with my general left on the field at this point. But I believe my ally Rhudaur has managed to win his fight, and he's now pursued the remaining Arthedain forces, or the remaining Cardolan. I can't do it today. Too many replays. The remaining Cardolan forces off the field, and eventually he will be able to move into our support at some point. But I think definitely right now his ally Lothlorien, or what remains of them, needs his help more than anything. Let's pop back on over to my side of the battle, where I'm engaging the dwarves of Erebor as they move in to try and support their ally. Because I got my pikes closing in on the Erebor infantry, got my my Belfalos Marines bearing down the infantry, doing my best here to support my ally. But some of my Dornernal pikemen, a lot of them are going to rout for some very strange reason. Looks like they might take some of my other units with them as well. So my other Dornernal pikemen are thinking about routing, and I have no idea why. Yeah, so definitely a fight that we are able to win. Move forward now with my Black Swan Vanguards to try and crush the flanks of the Dwarven army. I can see a lot of Erebor reinforcements moving in on my right wing. So I'm going to be using my Belfalos Marines and my AP Black Swan Vanguard to try and stem the tide here. So my Dornernal archers now out of ammunition, being committed to the fray as well, and the Ironfoot warriors on my right wing at least are struggling to hold back my infantry. I'm going to be coming around from the rear now with my cavalry, looking for an opportunity here. Well, these are melee cav though, so they don't have the greatest charge bonus. My Swan Knights are going to get a charge into the rear of the Ironfoot Spears, who are completely unprepared, and it is actually going to do a fair amount of damage to them. At the same time, some of those javelins being tossed in here, trying to rout this side of the Erebor infantry. Swan Knights definitely being left for longer than they should in there. On the other side, you can see me moving in with my my Haven Knights, trying to hack down some of these Axguard of Erebor, thin out the reserves. Also running a little bit of cover here for my mercenary cavalry, who have now swept away the Dwarven Catapult. Over on this end, though, against the Khazad-dum dwarves, really struggling in an infantry fight. This is not the kind of fight that Dol Amroth is really capable of winning, at least not without a lot of heavy AP support. And where my AP is, I'm doing a lot better. Sons of the Fallen do have a lot of melee defense, however, so the lower attack values of the Black Swan Vanguard are going to struggle to get through that. Over on this end, my Black Swan Vanguard in tandem with my Mercenary Cavalry are able to rout a pocket of Ironfoot Spears, and that's going to leave my Black Swan Vanguard free to surround this big blob here of the Ironfoot Spearmen. Over on this wing, I have been very much victorious against the Erebor forces. Erebor now committing some of his reserves in the form of the Axguard of Erebor, and the Highborn of Erebor still has his Axe Throwers as well, active and able to do some damage. Swan Knights on this end, moving in with my Haven Guard, trying to thin out the Axguard of Erebor, and they're a melee cav, so they will do decent enough in close quarters against these guys. Some of my Mercenary Cavalry chasing some of these Ironfoot warriors down, trying to make sure none of these Ironfoot units come back from routing. That would be disastrous. But now we've still got the Knights of Illuminas to deal with, and this is where things get really ugly. My ally, the Elves of Mirkwood, have been heavily defeated. My Dornernal pikemen here came back from routing, I believe, and are trying to hold down the line against the Axguard of Erebor. This is definitely the weakest part of my line. I'm moving in with my Haven Knights to try and shadow these Knights of Illuminas, because I really don't want them to be charging into the rear of my lines, because that'll be game over for me real fast. And back here, still got some Belfalos Marines, brought out my Ballista crew as well to try and add a little bit of stability to portions of my line. Swan Knights and my Mercenary Cav on the other end, doing their best to try and hammer and anvil these Dwarven units, but now I do have a big problem in the form of the Knights of Illuminas, and I don't have quite enough cavalry to ensure that I can surround them, essentially. Looks like the Arthedain Cav just charged headlong into my Dornernal pikemen and got their general skewered. Very unfortunate for them. The Knights of Illuminas here are going to manage to just very slyly skirt their way around my cavalry. The rest of my cav not close enough in order to be able to catch these guys. But now my Haven Knight's going to charge into the rear of those Knights of Inuinos, but the damage has already been done. You can see a lot of routing here. Even my Black Swan Vanguard have now been driven from the field. And over here, the panic from these units is going to ripple through my Dornernal pikemen, who are going to be potentially forced to flee here without a little bit of support. Moving in with some mercenary cav, trying to lend them as much help as I can, but I still got a lot of problems here in the form of these Knights of Inuminas. Now that I see that my flank has been broken there, I'm going to send my Haven Knights into the rear of those Axemen of Erebor, who I think I've routed both my mercenary cavalry and... Oh no, my mercenary cav is still around, but they've actually managed to rout my Dornernal pikemen. Nice charge there into the undefended rear of the Axe Guard of Erebor. Is going to cut down quite a lot of them. My Haven Knights are going to be able to win a fight pretty easily with those Axe Guard units. But elsewhere, the presence of my general is being sorely missed. Erebor units really pushing back hard against my remaining Dol Amroth infantry. I moved in on this end with my Belfloss Marines to try and help my Black Swan Vanguard to cut down these Ironfoot Spears, but we're just not having a ton of luck. I've still got my cavalry, and I'm still trying to leverage them against some of these out-of-formation dwarf units. And my mercenary camp are going to charge hard into there, but there are spearmen in there in the form of the Sons of the Fallen. That's going to be real ugly for my poor unit of mercenary cavalry. So I'm going to start pulling my cavalry out of there pretty quickly. Over on this end, my Haven Knights have really done a number on the Axe Guard of Erebor, so we've managed to at least stop this flanking movement from becoming an overwhelming victory for the dwarves. We're here, my ballista being thrown into the fray against these units, just trying desperately to stem the tide of the dwarves here and stop them from completely breaking my lines. We're here, my Dornernal pikemen not having a great time as the Highborn of Erebor push right through them. Got some Evendom spearmen, but thankfully my ally has arrived. My ally Rhudaur, with all that remains of his army, has arrived to my aid. And if my line managed to hold, we might have been able to surround him, but unfortunately my men of Dol Amroth are fleeing in many different directions at this point. Let's go ahead and let's fast forward just a little bit here. Oh, my poor Haven Guard, or my Haven Knights rather. I think there's still a unit of crossbows or something sitting around here somewhere. I'm trying to find them and try and stay away from them. Over here we got some Arthedain Rangers moving in. This is actually a really nice blessing. Some of my Dol Amroth infantry has begun to reform. My Adelan men-at-arms, I still got some mercenary cav, although my Swan Knights are now fleeing from the field. But we are slowly managing to recover some of our forces. A little bit of a feint there with my Haven Knights, going to pull those Spear Guard out of the fray there against my Belfloss Marines. Hopefully give my Black Swan Vanguard a little bit more time to hack down those Ironfoot Spears. Here we got some Rhudaur swordsmen coming in from the rear, trying to lend me what support they can. My Haven Guard coming in to launch a hammer and anvil strike here against the Khazad-dum elites. Nice charge there. Gonna wipe out that Khazad-dum general. Rhudaur coming in from the rear now as well with the axe throwers. And we've still got a chance, it would seem, as long as my infantry holds. But the Dwarven infantry is just pushing their way through there, and unfortunately my Belfloss Marines lose their nerve and are no longer able to fight. Fleeing now off the battlefield. Big charge there from my Haven Guard, going to claim the lives of some of those dwarves. Going to pull them out almost immediately. Rhudaur are doing their best, but we are fighting against some of the best that Khazad-dum has to offer. Still got a few Khazad-dum javelins, though. Might be enough to turn the tide. Who knows? Khazad-dum javelins tossing their payloads into there, but it doesn't really seem to affect anything. What do you know? They did take down some of those Highborn of Erebor. That's going to be followed up with a charge from my Haven Knights, trying to keep my Black Swan Vanguard in the fray as long as possible. Let's see, now my Dol Amroth infantry is coming back as well. Adelan men-at-arms, Dornernal pikemen. 2 units have reformed. This could be enough. Meanwhile, my Black Swan Vanguard doing their best to try and hold out. Haven Knights cycling charges into the rear of the Ironfoot Spears and the Highborn of Erebor. But yet more Erebor infantry is pouring in along with the Khazad-dum Spears. Another charge there into the Highborn of Erebor, killing many of them. Though unfortunately my spears are going to get caught out a little bit by the Sons of the Fallen. And the Erebor infantry is now going to be able to to screen the back of the remaining Khazad-dum forces. Over here, my Black Swan Vanguard down to 17. Pulled them out of that fight to try and deal with some of those spearmen, try and tie down the spears at the very least. My Thelon men-at-arms slowly but surely moving in. Dornernal pikemen following them up very closely. Let's see what we still got here. We got a few archers left from Mirkwood. Meanwhile, Arthedain Rangers fighting hard against the Erebor legionaries. I definitely should have sent my Haven Knights over here potentially to help out the Arthedain Rangers. Then we could have used them on the main line. Definitely got a fair amount of cavalry left over to do that with, but I had my hands full trying to whittle down the dwarves by attrition here. There's not very many of the dwarves of Khazad-dum or the dwarves of Erebor left over at this point. My Haven Knights are definitely seeing there's going to be a few less. Erebor legionaries here really not having a good time against my Haven Knights. Not wanting to lose any more of my HP, gonna pull my Haven Knights out one more time. Come in from both sides here for a charge with my cavalry units. Try and rout these Erebor legionnaires. Not gonna be enough by the looks of it, however. Looks like we got a ballista unit that came back as well, so our fortunes have definitely improved. Erebor legionaries somehow managing to stand strong after losing half the unit. That's going to allow the dwarves of Erebor and Khazad-dum united together to mop up all the remains of my Dol Amroth forces. We still have those Faradrim Javies, what do you know? Some Herenadine Berserkers here as well. There are some skirmishing forces, and they are significant. They are shaving off some of the HP of those Mithril Guard. Yeah, I can see that he's moving over with his spears, trying to bully my Haven Knights out of position. So I'm going to move over with my infantry, try and catch his entire infantry block on my Thelon men-at-arms and my Dornernal pikes, so that I can use my cavalry to hammer an anvil. Over here, I'm seeing an opportunity, trying to keep some of his infantry out of the fight now. Big charge into those Highborn of Erebor. I wonder if we get any of them. We managed to kill one or two of them. Do lose a Haven Knight in the process, however. Now, I think there's some Legion Bodyguard in there, along with the 4th Legion Spear Guard engaging my front line. Definitely got an opportunity here to charge into the rear of these guys. Hopefully I go for it. I hope I do. My Ballista coming in as well. Yeah, Hammer and Anvil charge here from my Haven Guard. Gonna try and break these dwarves. Unfortunately, my charge was not very effective, and now these spears are freed up after dealing with my mercenary cavalry. I'm going to have to pull them out. Now, this is real bad news, bears. Still some mercenary crossbows left, and I believe that they are firing either at my ally or at my Haven Knights, which is even worse. Oop, a little bit of a malfunction with my mouse there. Haven Knights pulling out, and my Dornernal pikemen and my men-at-arms doing very well now against the dwarves of Khazad-dum. With the support of the Haven Knights, we might be able to win this fight. Now my ally coming in, Rhudaur Faradrim Javelin, is going to be tossing their payloads into, I presume, the spears, probably the Sons of the Fallen. Still a little bit of archer support. I'm going to pull out my Haven Knights and send them running at the mercenary crossbows. Going to be enough to rout them almost immediately. But unfortunately, the fact that my general was not there against some pretty scary units is actually going to cause a bit of a rout here. My Thelon men-at-arms still managing to hold strong, but my Dornernal pikemen are going to be fleeing off the battlefield. Very unfortunate for me. And now my Thelon men-at-arms still holding on, but just barely. I'm going to pull my Haven Knights out of there, try and get them one more charge off, but my Thelon men-at-arms are going to break and flee, and that's going to leave a lot of Dwarven infantry still intact. Didn't do the casualties that I think we were hoping to do. Let's go ahead and let's fast forward now. It's just going to be a series of cycle charges as we try to win this. Try to look for weak spots in the Dwarven infantry and go for those charges and flatten the infantry as best we can. Yeah, rear charge there while they were engaged with the Rhudaur units. That's going to be the end of my general there. Prince Imrahil falling in combat to the Sons of the Fallen. Boom, a big charge there into the dwarves. Well, there's just not enough Haven Knights left at this point to really make a difference. Yeah, I gotta run over some of those Ironfoot warriors, make sure they don't come back. And over here, trying to rout these Erebor Legionaries who are chasing down a few remaining Mirkwood archers. And there goes the Rhudaur general getting massacred by one of the Sons of the Fallen. Trying to run a little bit of cover here for my ally for the Delupang and Emenduir. Constantly cycle charging in and out, trying to give them a few moments to fire at the Dwarven infantry. But there's just not enough of us. Eventually they are going to get caught there by the Sons of the Fallen, and I think they're going to get routed as well. And that just leaves my 3 Haven Knights. Their lord is dead. These are just my lone Ronin trying to avenge the fall of their commander. But I realize at this point that there's no point in trying to cycle charge any further. We're definitely going to lose this. And there you have it, a very narrow victory for the forces of the Dwarves, Arthedain, and Cardolan. Very close. Great game to everybody involved. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and hope you guys will join me for the next replay, which will be coming out possibly tomorrow. But, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, in any case, my name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!